Ryan.
Julie.
Caitlin.
Seth. Matt Miller.
Summer.
Diane Kahn.
Does the name Steve Pizer mean anything to you?
Hey, Colin.
The Honorable Jim Mercer.
Johnny. Kevin Volchuk.
Matt Ramsey.
Ryan, hey.
Well, basically, we have to do so many episodes of the show, and we have so many characters, and we have a limited amount of imagination. So we decided that the easiest thing to do would be to name the characters after people that we know. And it's fun for me, it's fun for them.
Need some help?
Yeah, I'm looking for Kevin Volchuk.
I got a lot of very funny calls from managers and agents I work with saying, do you know that they're looking for a character in the OC named Kevin Volchuk?
When you talk to Kevin Volchuk and then you see the character of Kevin Volchuk, it's almost impossible to tell the two guys apart.
I couldn't be more different than him. He's a great-looking, very aggressive, blonde, blue-eyed, studly surfer. And I know it's hard to imagine, but that's not me. I'm the brunette Jewish version of that Gentile Adonis that I wish I was looking like. I'd love to look like him.
On TV, Kevin Volchuk is a bad guy. And he's gonna take Marissa down a bad path.
I remember at the beginning when he tried to steal Johnny's girlfriend, and Johnny actually walks into the room.
Johnny.
Every girlfriend I've ever had, in some way I've stolen them from somebody else. And I'll continue doing that if I have to.
I called all my friends. I told them it was my shout-out night, and they had to watch my episode.
Cameo is someone I went to school with. She's a good friend of mine, has been for a long time. In the episode, Haley, Amanda Righetti's character, was coming to the OC for the very first time to descend on the Cohen family and was throwing a gigantic New Year's Eve bash.
I don't even know what you're doing back here, Hale. You still owe me $3 grand.
I know, and I'll get it back to you.
That's what you said 2 years ago before you bolted.
Oh, what happened? Your trust fund run out?
Haley had an old grudge to settle with a tough chick named Cameo.
My little shout-out. I was flattered. I thought it was very sweet of him. I was excited to see, how he's going to portray me.
Where is that bitch? Can't believe she'd even show her face in Newport.
Look, Cammy, I don't know, okay?
When he told me what he was going to do, I kind of went, okay, well, I guess that's how you're going to portray me, as this tough, tattoo-wearing, motorcycle-driving girl. So not me.
Well, I don't think Cameo's ever knifed anybody before or tried to settle a drug score through the use of violence. I think she's a fine, upstanding, obedient civil servant. But she is a wild, had a bit of a wild streak.
The ratings for our shout out were huge. I mean, what would you say? Platinum?
I'm going platinum.
Platinum on that.
Yeah. True story. I called Josh in the middle of the night from Vegas. I said, Josh, I'm famous. I'm here with a bunch of girls from LA, and they know me from the show. It's pretty cool.
Joel McEwen and Jeff Frankel, both my attorneys. Jeff Frankel played Caleb's attorney, who was overseeing his last will and testament when they found out that he had no money. Jeff Frankel in real life is a very powerful attorney, nothing like the attorney portrayed on TV. He was that guy was a little Weasley, that guy was a little bit mousy.
I was really excited about it. I begged for the shout out, actually, except I wanted to be a bad guy, a really bad guy, a really, really bad guy, and he made me a lawyer, which is not really what I wanted to be, but at least I got to deliver bad news.
What is it, Mr. Frankel?
After careful scrutiny of his account, it's become clear that Caleb Nickel was broke.
And Joel McEwen, he played it was a riveting character, a lumber magnate, because everybody watches the show to find out what the lumber industry is doing. And he played a guy who was a very powerful lumber magnate. He had to do business with Caleb Nickel, who was building stuff. You need lumber to build stuff. You need wood to build buildings. Therefore, their agendas often intersected.
Is it Uncle Sean?
The hotel room that he accidentally stumbled into the other day. Joel McEwen was staying there.
Well, that's quite a coincidence, since Joel McEwen is a leading lumber supplier on the West Coast. Not such a coincidence.
I don't believe we ever saw Joel McEwen on screen, but he was referenced. And Joel McEwen in real life, as I said, also one of my attorneys, I don't think has ever even chopped firewood. I think he has almost nothing in common with the lumber magnate.
The more shout-outs we can get, the more we can convince ourselves that we're ballers. I mean, to you, I might be entertainment lawyer Joel McEwen, but to other people, I'm now a lumber magnate from the OC who got a shout out.
It's a conversation point, you know, where I normally would probably not be talking to them. Now I have entree by virtue of the fact that I've been given status for my shout out.
In other words, you're going to fully exploit the shout out.
I'm going to do whatever
Milk
it
it
takes.
for whatever it's worth.
Yeah, I mean, it's pathetic, but I'll do it.
It's really pathetic.
What'd you do with yours?
What's that?
With your shout out?
It's confidential.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I think I'm the only person who had a shout out that publicly displays it to my patients.
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Cohen, but your temporary license was issued before your file landed in front of the newly appointed commissioner. So, does the name Steve Pizer mean anything to you?
On the show, Steve Pizer played the head of the the alcohol license bureau. It was season 1, but he was basically responsible for denying the liquor license that allowed Jimmy and Sandy to open their restaurant.
And this is an excerpt from the script where they say, does the name Steve Pizer mean anything to you? And Peter Gallagher says, do you know Steve Pizer?
You're the holdup, Jimmy. Does the name Steve Pizer mean anything to you?
I believe Steve Pizer still talks to this day about how his fictional off-screen counterpart denied the liquor license to Sandy and Jimmy's restaurant.
Josh called me one day and said, you have to watch the show tonight. You're on the show. So I immediately, of course, had a big party and invited everyone, told my parents that I was going to be famous, and tuned in to, very embarrassing character assassination. It was great.
Summer, right? We're in the same comp lit class together.
Right. I'm sorry, I'm usually asleep.
Oh, Matt Miller.
So Matt Miller was on the show in season 2 as a water polo player.
What are you doing here with Matt Miller? That guy'll hit on anything that moves.
I got a phone call from my mother back east, who was livid. And she calls and she's like, this is why I'm telling you you should settle down and meet a nice girl. And I don't, what do you mean hitting on everything that moves?
And from what I understand, this has made Matt kind of a local celebrity in his hometown.
I'm furious on all counts. First of all, the guy's wearing what I believe is like a shell necklace. Terrible. I would have gone for more of like a Hasselhoff type.
Matt Miller is no longer talking to me, but I think I raised his game considerably.
My understanding is that there's been a tremendous push to turn the Matt Miller character into a series regular. He was a small character, but I think he packed a nice punch.
I didn't find out that I was going to be a shout-out in the OC until it happened. So I'm watching the OC, and suddenly, there's my name.
Who's the chairman this year? A guy named Mercer? Jim Mercer?
Yeah, you know?
Yeah, he's a judge. I've argued before him many times.
And that's a good thing, right?
Well, he's what they call a hanging judge. He's a real hard ass. Just means we'll have to present a really good case, that's all.
As you remember, he plays a judge with whom Sandy had a great deal of difficulty when he was in court.
This isn't the same Judge Mercer that jailed you for contempt.
6 hours in the slammer because he didn't like my closing argument.
While Jim is not a judge, anyone who saw that, who knows Jim, would laugh because Jim is probably one of the sweetest, most compassionate, intelligent men you would ever want to meet.
A lot of my colleagues thought that was really funny.
I think he got a kick out of that. I know his wife did.
I was a little celebrity for a few days.
The next commercial after my face was shown on the TV, I got maybe 100 phone calls, and I was like, how does everybody know it? All my friends are like, yeah, we slowed it down on TiVo and watched it 100 times.
Tell me the short version.
The judge has a son, Nick. And he's got a drug problem.
We thought it would only be appropriate and fair that Nick sort of shared the shout-out. So he got a little piece of Jim's shout-out is what he wound up with. And again, he's the complete antithesis of the character described.
When they're like, Nick Mercer, the drug addict, I was like, maybe they didn't like me when I worked here last summer.
My first reaction was, who does Bat Ramsey get to